Wild Boater is another interesting game, as it is a very obscure title that is not rarely talked about with regards to PS1 games. The game was originally released in Japan and was also added in other regions under the Midas Pocket Price budget series for more affordable games. And the game essentially is a water sports arcade racer where you're in like a canoe and your goal is to reach the time limit or checkpoints within a very strict time limit. So the objective is to navigate the rivers and the rapids and avoid obstacles and waterfalls in order to progress. But the game is extremely challenging. Haven't spent time playing it. It's not like your typical racing game where you can hold down the X button or square to accelerate and brake. No, this game doesn't give you that option at all. You have to use the shoulder buttons in order to paddle from side to side in order to move the boat forward, and you have to also use the buttons in order to direct the boat to stop it from hitting the edges or hitting rocks. But you also have to contend with extremely strict time limits. There's virtually no room for mistakes in this game. If anything, the time limit is so strict, even on the easiest difficulties, that it virtually is impossible to finish in many regards. Only highly skilled individuals or people that have put a lot of time into it know what the game's about can have any chance of doing this. Because by the time you finished it and you're using the shoulder buttons, your fingers and your hands just do be totally exhausted, because you need to gain a certain momentum or routine into the button presses in order to gain enough speed to navigate through the waters and the rapids at enough pace that you can reach the checkpoints fairly quickly to save yourself any amount of time, which is very, very hard to do. No amount of time that I put into this game could I manage to really get far on it. I think after a few tries I did manage to complete maybe one or two of the levels, but there was one of the levels that no matter what I did, I just could not get a good time on it at all. The time limits in the game are just far too strict for it to be enjoyable in many regards, which will add to the frustration to many. But in saying that, I do like the quirky nature of the graphics. Again, this is a budget game. It has a very arcade feel to it, but it also has enough realism about it that makes it very, very difficult for most people to play. It is a very, very tough game. Even though there's only like 3 tracks that you can choose from, and you have a number of different characters, all with their own quirky attributes and characteristics. But even with that, it doesn't hide the fact that this is an extremely difficult game, which is a pity because it has some really cool ideas and appeal, but it's not user friendly, it's not beginner friendly, more to the point, and it's just going to be frustrating for a lot of players. But at the same time, I do like its charm and I do like the interesting concepts behind it. It just could have been a bit more approachable from a beginner's perspective and have a bit more leniency with the silly time limits, at least to make it playable, because you will find yourself having to go through many tries just to get one good run, and there's still no guarantees that you'll even get close to finishing the game. And even if you do, there's still no way of knowing if you can actually finish any of the levels. It's just going to be a struggle the whole time. But like I said, it does have an interesting charm to it. that will appeal to a select few, and if you do like extreme sports and water sports games and even arcade racers, this definitely does combine all of those elements. But it is just difficult at the end of the day, make no mistake about that. But it's rare, there's very little information, as with many of these budget style games. This was also released later on in the PlayStation's life cycle, so there's very little information. Like from what I could find, there's next to no articles that you can find online about this game. So if there is anything out there, it's quite rare. I haven't been able to find it really as such. And if you do know anything, I would love to know your thoughts on this and what you think of it overall, or what type of articles could you find online that even give more information on the game. So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around other unusual, obscure and quirky style games like this that were also released on the PlayStation that are quite rare and hard to find, I have created a playlist which you can see here on screen that will cover more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.